Alrighty. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Between Drops. This is episode number 4. I am your host, Ian Anderson, and we have a very special guest for you today, all the way from, I believe, Japan is where you're calling from for today.
Yep,
Um,
Okinawa, Japan.
Go ahead and introduce yourself, good sir.
So my name's John Reeves. I've been in the community almost since the beginning. Um, I'm currently living in Okinawa, Japan. I'm active duty Air Force. I'm actually medical in the Air Force, been in for 14 years.
Nice.
I've been playing paintball for quite a long time as well. But yeah, I was the 2022 Community King, or one of them. So like I said, been in the community for a while, really enjoy the community. And so I'm really excited to be on this podcast. Super cool.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time. And I'm also, I did 8 years in the Air Force. So I was stationed here at Dover,
Oh, nice.
and I was an air transportation troop. So thank you for your service, good sir. Um,
Oh, thank you, man. That must have been fun doing that kind of stuff.
you know,
It's a different world. Your world's a different world.
Dover, yes, they always used to
Yeah.
joke like Dover's where your dreams come to die. And
Yeah.
truthfully, it's just a really busy port. It's high vis. We have the mortuary here. It's
Yeah.
a big logistics hub for going overseas to certain ports. And so it's just super busy, and so the hours aren't the best and the manning isn't the best. And I mean, there are some high points at working here, but
Yeah.
uh, I think just all those things together make it a little bit more of a stressful, even for a job like logistics. But
Yeah.
it was
No.
a good time. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
All right. So you're 13 hours ahead right now.
Something like that. I don't know. I
Yeah.
Googled the time difference and that's how we came up with the time.
Yes,
But
for
it's
those.
it's crazy. Yeah. It's 8:22 in the morning here. And I think it's like 7 something where you're
Yep,
at.
it is 7:22 in the evening. I am on the
Yeah.
East Coast. Yeah, calling from the great state of Delaware.
And I'm
Um,
from the future right now.
yeah,
So
exactly. You're like the Ali Lama, calling from the
yeah.
future. How long have you been in Japan for?
So man, I've been here for in August I'll hit 5 years. Yeah, so I've lived
That's
here for a
awesome.
long time. Yeah, I mean, luckily for I mean, when I got out here, I thought paintball was going to be non-existent.
Hmm.
Um, and there's a couple guys in the group currently, like Nathaniel Pugh, that are huge advocates for paintball out here in Japan and in Okinawa. And so
Hmm.
they basically started this team called the Ryukyu Kings that are actually going to be going to Cup this year. So the team is good.
That's
A bunch of us
awesome.
have since left, right? So we're in the military.
Hmm.
We're here for like 3 to 4 years. We all leave. So most of our team is left. They're back in the States, but we're all going to meet up for Cup and play in World Cup. So it should
That's
be a good
awesome.
time. I'm excited. But no, luckily there's paintball out here. We have speedball, we have some woods ball and everything like that. But we're trying to increase the amount of players we have. Let people know that are like moving out here that paintball does exist,
Hmm.
right? Because that's a big thing. Um, and of course, like we're in the Hormesis stuff, just because like that community transfers over, right? So,
Yeah,
and it
absolutely,
helps
it
build the
does.
community out here too. That's a big thing. Like, even with our mainland Japanese like friends, so they're all into it too. It's a little bit harder for them to get drops, but there's a few of them that go for the drops as well. So we have that kind of like connection too, right? So, yeah, I've been out here for a while. Um, been able to play not only in Okinawa but mainland Japan. There's a couple teams there. Obviously, paintball is really small in Japan. I don't think a lot of people realize that. Some people don't even think it exists in Japan, but it's very small. Airsoft is the thing, right? Which is cool.
Yeah,
But we've actually been able to get some speed softers and stuff to start playing some speedball as well a couple
that's
times.
awesome.
But trying to grow the sport out here, right? So,
Yeah.
but it's difficult. It's difficult.
I can imagine too, especially when you're, there for a 3 to 5 year stint too. It's really hard to kind of make
Yeah.
sure that what you're doing makes an impact, and then you leave it in the hands of somebody else who can kind of continue that.
Hmm.
Because I mean, I can't imagine that's an easy or a quick process by any means.
Yeah, and like you want to be competitive too, right? So you try to. It's hard. You get you get varying skill levels. You get guys who they've come out to the field to play woods ball. They loved it. Then all of a sudden they invest thousands of dollars in gear and they're coming up, but they've never played. They played speedball like that one time with a rental marker,
Yeah.
right? And then we got guys who are unbelievable talents, right, that come out here that happen to be active duty and they're incredible players. So we have a big gap, but the whole goal is to get everybody to the same level so we
Hmm.
can be competitive.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like COVID, we were all here. The core of our team was here during COVID, and we couldn't travel. The only thing we could do was go to like mainland Japan and play against the mainland teams. But they have like the Japanese. They have a Japanese national team, which is
That's
super cool,
awesome.
and so we were able to play against them. Yeah, so there's lots of ways we still tried to like stay competitive and test our mettle, if you will, against other teams. But we
Hmm.
weren't able to go to like Taiwan or Singapore, things that we wanted to do, or even like Thailand for what is it? I forgot what it's called. World Championships. I forgot what it's called specifically. It's like WC,
Hmm.
but it's a big paintball tournament out here in Asia.
Yeah, I've that's gonna be pretty crazy. Like on Dover Air Force Base, they had a small field
Mm.
over by the fam camp, and they had that for like it was super small, and I think it was only up on like the third Sunday or the third Saturday of every month. And I think we
Oh,
went
so it
out
wasn't
there.
even open all the time.
Yeah, and we went out there once with the squadron, and it was pretty funny because it was all rentals, and of course I didn't ship any of my stuff out here. So at the time, everyone's using a Tipman, and you're just smoking people with a Tipman,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
just smoking them.
Everyone's
You're
like,
like,
"Whoa, what happened? What's going on?"
ah,
You know,
I don't
like they
know.
don't
It's
realize.
just
Yeah.
oh, and the paint's hard, so it doesn't break, and it's
Oh my
bouncing, and they're
gosh.
not getting out, and you're just like, all right, well, I guess we'll just marbles, just
Ooh, yeah.
but
We
I
got that going on here too.
yeah.
The paint is brutal, man.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I wish, that I would have done more while I was in with the paintball stuff. Either started a club on base or, did something to that effect because I feel like when I got into the military, that was the one thing that I wish I did more of was paintball. Just but
Mhm.
I mean, I was on a weird work schedule and it's one of those
Yeah.
24/7 shops. And so it's just kind of like if you're there a while, you get the weekends. But if you're a new guy, you're senior airman or below, I mean, chances are you're going to be working weekends and those
Yep.
days. But
You're on call or whatever it might be. And so
yeah,
like it's like you want to make plans, but you know what I mean? And then you can only sometimes I've been in that situation where, especially when I was in Germany, the closest paintball field was like 2 hours away,
okay,
right? Competitive paintball field. And if I'm on call, I can't drive that far away. You know
yeah,
what I mean? So
yep,
I couldn't play. And so there was
yeah,
that issue too. So there's a lot of limitations to that. If you're in the military, even like some other like maybe emergency services jobs that you have limitations because like you're on call. You know what I
yep,
mean? So it can make it rough sometimes, especially if you're trying to be a competitive paintball player. There are a
yeah,
few active duty like pros, but it's pretty tough.
yeah. Yeah. I'm excited to hear you're going to be at Cup. I'm hoping to go this year as well. So hopefully I'll see you there. I've been trying to go for the last couple of years. We were going to go last year, but my brother ended up getting married like Cup weekend. So
That's pretty important though.
yeah, absolutely. I was very happy to be there, but I'm just like, we were so close. So this year we're planning. I mean, we're up north, on the East Coast. So I think it's like a 20-hour drive or so. So I think
I
we're
was about to
usually
say, would you drive down instead of fly? Because it's
last
doable.
time, so this last year we've been traveling in our camper van, and so we've put like
Oh, sweet.
21,000 miles going back and forth over the last like 12 months. And so I'm thinking, depending on the weather, I mean it's November, so we might just take that down because then we can just take it to the field, and then we have a
Yeah.
place to kind of hang out, during the day when we're not out watching games and things like that. So we shall see, but I got a recall on it now, so we've got to wait for the appointments right now for auto stuff is crazy. Can't get until like
It's
August.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's the
But
same way out here. They're just like, we can't fix it. I'm like, you can't fix. So I guess I just can't get my car fixed. Like it's
yeah,
wild. I'm on an island. Like there's mainland Japan and there's tiny Okinawa, and so everything has to be shipped here. So it's everything that should be easy isn't, right? So I feel you.
I can understand that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, so let's talk about your first time playing paintball. And what's if you could elaborate a little bit on your paintball history, how long you've been playing for, things like that.
Yeah, dude. So I've been playing since 97. I'm an old man. I'm
Yep.
I've been playing for a while, right? So it always starts with my friend's birthday, and that's exactly
Hmm.
what how it went with me too. It was my friend's birthday. We went. It was actually on Bellows Air Force Base because my dad was Army at the time. My friend's dad
Okay.
was Air Force. We were neighbors. We went together, and dude, I was so scared. I was so freaking scared, man. So I wore a snow jacket, a thick snow jacket that we used up in Oregon to go up into the mountains. My dad's originally from Oregon. So I used a thick snow jacket in the middle of summer in Hawaii. So you can imagine,
Oh.
like, I was layered up because I didn't want to get shot, right? Because everyone's
Hmm.
telling me it's going to hurt, all this stuff. There wasn't any YouTube or any, like, really, the internet sucked back then, right? It was dial up. So I couldn't really do any research or whatever. And so I was nervous. I was a kid. And that was my first time playing paintball, like almost having a heat stroke using a rental. But at that point, I was hooked. Um, my dad and I, we went out and he bought me my first marker was a Brass Eagle Samurai. I don't know if you've ever
Nice.
seen one of those things, but
I
they're trash.
I can't say
They're trash.
I had a Brass Eagle Talon. I think it was the
Oh,
Talon. The
those are
pumps.
cool though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Got it
that's
from
what my buddy
Walmart.
had. So
Yeah.
he had this Brass Eagle Talon. I was jealous because I'm using this rental marker that didn't shoot straight, was horrible. And mind you, we're all using CO2, right? We're all using
Hmm.
CO2 at the time. And then so I got the Samurai first day playing it. It's basically the whole thing's plastic, still kind of similar to the Talon, except it's a semi, and
Hmm.
it has like a double trigger, but not really. You know what I mean? So I used that. It broke the first day, so then bought a Brass Eagle Raptor. I don't know if you remember
Okay.
those, but that
Yeah.
was one of Brass Eagle's cooler. It was basically a spider clone. Uh,
Okay. Yeah.
so play with that for a while. Got a 98. Everyone ends up buying a 98, right? And then
Yep.
close in my high school years when I was older, I had a my cream of the crop was it was a in 2004 uh War Game Products, they dropped the Black Magic autococker, full
Oh.
body autococker, right?
Yep.
So it was yellow fade, black yellow fade,
Hmm.
amazing marker. And that's when I started getting into more of like, not it was speedball, but it wasn't your traditional inflatables. There's a lot of just like flat wood.
Okay.
There were some hyperball fields at the time. I played at Brothers Paintball a lot in Nimitz in Hawaii.
Okay.
That's where I played primarily. And also at Bellows. Bellows is more of a woods ball place. And that's because that's like Bellows is Air Force Base. But they
Hmm.
allowed at the time, I'm not sure how it is now, but since like 9/11, but they allow
Hmm.
people to come on base to go play paintball. Um, but that's when I started getting into that. But then in 2006, I started kind of quitting around that time too, though, because I was really into track. Track was my thing. Um, and so I focused on that. And then, like girls and everything. So you end up just not playing paintball as much. Like that
Yeah.
was like my thing. And then I essentially quit until 20, I think it was 2011. Once again, except this time I was a 20-year-old dude and my buddy invited me for his birthday. We all went to go play paintball again. If you can imagine, like full circle, right? We're in Germany we went to Volgaway Army Base
Hmm.
and they had a woods ball field there and they had a little three-man speedball field. And there were guys with their own gear and I was looking, I was like, this is bringing back memories. And once again, I had a rental, kind of like you, right? You got a rental
Hmm.
and I was just like tearing up the dudes that had their own stuff and like obviously my friends, right? And I ran this dude down and this guy goes, dude, you need to play. My buddy Kenny, he's like, you need to play speedball. And I was like, I don't know, man. Like I haven't played in a long time. I'm just coming out here to have fun. And he's like, no, you should like. There's a bunch of us that have our own gear, whatever. So that night I went and spent. Do you remember Hustle Paintball?
Hmm.
Okay, so Hustle Paintball, they used to make great YouTube videos until they kind of went to more the brewing stuff. And anyway, I don't really know what happened with Hustle, but anyways,
Yeah.
I spent an absurd amount of money at Hustle Paintball. Uh, like my wife was like,
Oh my
"What are you
gosh.
doing?" I went from nothing to everything in a day, right?
Ah.
I bought a tank. No, I quit. Like I stopped playing in 2004, right? So when I stopped playing, the DM4 was released. The DM4 like just crapped on everybody, right? So
Yep.
I had a mechanical like, autococker to these guys are shooting so many balls per second. That's kind of what made me I was like, I don't want to play anymore because I thought it was just hard. I couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
Um, and so anyways, when I got back in sport, 2011, 2012, um, there were like all these new markers. I'm like, wow, they're so small. They look so different. Like they look. So I was like, so I just started YouTubing. Right, what's a good marker? And so I watched Mike from Tech PB a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, who's coming back, I guess, by the way.
Yeah, I
But
saw he did a video like
yeah,
yesterday or the day before or something like that.
yeah, he like messaged me on one of my videos. He was like, "Hey, great video. I'm gonna give you a shout out. You did a great review." I was like, "That's sweet, man. I have your scenario team jersey still
That's
from back in the
awesome.
day." So sorry, I know this is long winded, but
No, you're
so
good,
got
man.
back into it. I bought an E-Tech 3,
Okay.
right? An E-Tech 3 LT, and I was like, "This is gonna be the best." Like marker right ever. I bought that. I bought a rotor. I bought at the time Gorilla Air. Gorilla Air is now, what is it, First Strike? I can't remember exactly what they turned into or who bought them out. But so I bought all that stuff. Went to the field and I was like, all right, let's start playing tournaments, right? So started playing tournaments in Germany. First one was at Limburg, Germany, three on three. And then I saw the Luxes and I saw
Ooh,
Ego 11s. I saw the Geo 2.1s and I was like, what is going on? So what I do, I went on and I bought a Lux 2.0. So and then that was like the cream of the crop, man.
oh
Luxes,
man,
I was like, it talks to me. It's so that's kind of how I got back into paintball. I started playing tournaments in Germany at that point, working our way up, and eventually we ended up crushing it and winning one of the divisions there completely with an all-American team, pretty much. We had a few
that's
Germans,
awesome.
but it was a Kaiserslautern Legion over there in Germany because we're stationed at Ramstein Air Force Base. But
Nice.
it was a great time. Great time.
I
That's how
spent
I got back into it.
nice. I spent 2 weeks in at K Town because I went over there. It was when I
It's
got off
sweet.
active duty. Believe it or not, I traveled more when I was in the reserve component than I was on the active side. But we
Mm.
did our annual tour over at Germany. And what year was that? I don't remember. We spent 10 days and it was cool. It rained a lot. And the thing was, like, a lot of my friends from Dover seem to end up in Germany just because it's such a big, it's another big
Mm.
airport and the PAX terminal is really big. And so it's not uncommon for Dover people to end up there. So you call it Dover too. And so when I got there, it was a lot of just the same people. But yeah, it was really cool. K Town was really cool. Um, the late night food was really good. Like, I think that was the first time I
Yeah.
did bars until daylight. They took us out. We went like,
Yeah.
you go and then it's like morning time. You come out. We were in this like basement bar. I can't remember what it was, but you come up from the basement and it's just like there's lines of taxis and yeah,
I
it was
think I went to that exact bar. I know what you're talking about.
yeah,
Is that where they check you for knife? I can't remember, but they checked me for knives and stuff.
yeah,
They like pat you down at that particular bar. I remember walking down into it.
yes,
It was one of those
yeah,
that stayed open all night. We also had another one. Did you end up? There's one called the Harp, and we used to call it Harp o'clock because everywhere else will close. A bunch of places will close, and we go to the Harp, which is like a Irish pub. That
okay,
one was open 24/7.
yeah. I remember it started with we went to the wing place with the American guy that owns and he sells the hot wings and there's the bar and he has the porn playing in the
We were actually sponsored by them. Yeah. He had the shoot. He had the shirts that said the puke face.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Instead of the North Face. Oh man, yeah. He used to play our videos on his TVs whenever he wasn't playing porn on them.
Yeah, I remember walking in there and we're eating and it's just like, oh man, and we're like, all right, guys, like we gotta go. And one of the people were like, no, man, I want to see how it ends. We're like, it's gonna end, man. Like,
See,
let's go.
it's a great
Like,
story.
come on. And then we went to the hookah place. Um,
Yep,
and
yeah. It was right. I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, it was right over
yep,
there. It's close, just right down the walk plots. Yeah.
yeah. And then there was the Donner House. There's that little Donner place that everyone eats at. Um,
Yep.
and that was the first time I had that. That was really
Got to
good.
get a donor when it's like 2, 3
Yeah.
in the morning and you've had a few, and the donor's gonna help you out a little bit.
Hmm. But yeah, it was really cool. A lot of history. I'm a big history person, so for me, I wish
Yeah.
we had more time. Unfortunately, the reserve component before us had gotten in trouble, so we were on like 6 and 112s because they wanted to keep
Yeah.
us training and no free time. So it was just that was a little bit of a nightmare, but we still made the best of the trip. But yeah, it was really cool. Food was really
Yeah.
good. Ended up going to a castle, but I don't remember which castle it was. But it was just Really cool place to go. Autobahn's crazy, fast
Yeah,
driving.
Autobahn was great. I bought a Volkswagen GTI out there.
Oh, okay.
It was an American spec, but I'd max that governor out on the on the Autobahn. It was a good time.
We actually had a buddy that broke his rib at there was like an indoor go-kart track. And I
Yeah,
can't
yep.
and we ended up getting a sketchy ride from this kid that just got to base, but he sounded like he knew where he was going. And he just got his car. And so he drove us, and it took us like an hour and a half to get there because he got lost. And his phone plan wasn't switched over yet to the international. So he couldn't do GPS. And so it literally took, and he couldn't drive a manual car either. So he was
Oh
grinding the
my gosh.
gears. And yeah, it was a nightmare. Like one of those car
Yeah,
sick,
and
like,
most
just
of the
get me
cars out
out.
there are manual. Most of the
Yeah.
cars out there are manual. They're not automatic. So even if you get a rental, they're like, we have like two automatics and they're gone, and
Yep.
the rest are manual. So thankfully, I was able to. But yeah, no, I know that go-kart place too. I went there. That's where they have the bar on the top, right? Is
Yep, absolutely.
that the same place?
Yep,
Yeah, that place
absolutely.
was
And it
legit.
looks like it's a sketchy, like you pulled up because we pulled up and it was nighttime, and it's this like sketchy like business district that you'd see in like the movies,
Yeah.
where they do some like
Hmm.
shady deal. Yeah, but it was really cool. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like in a warehouse.
yeah, absolutely. He took this turn, and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
first turn he was showboating, and he was kind of like, and he didn't turn hard enough. And we watched him in slow motion, and he like hit the wall on that first turn, and like his stomach ate the steering wheel, and he just, and he
Oh
ended
my
up
God.
breaking like two or three ribs, and we had to fly home on a C5 the next day. And so he had broken ribs
Oh
sitting
my
in a sling
gosh, dude.
seat, and it's just like, yeah, it was bad. It was bad.
Sounds like a good time though.
And the funny thing was that no one was even drinking. It was the last night before we were
Really?
leaving, and everyone's like, you know what? Let's do something responsible. Let's go drive the
Yeah.
go-karts. Let's not get crazy. We have an early flight. And so, like, a few of us just went, and we're like, go-karts, food, come back. We leave the next day. And so, like, he had to go to our master sergeant's room, be like, hey, man, like, I hurt myself. Were you drinking? No, I was just driving go-karts. I broke my ribs.
Those things went pretty fast though.
They did. They
They were
absolutely did.
pretty cool. It was like gas powered. It was indoors. They were super cool.
That was the first time I'd done something like that, and it was just, I mean, it was a cool experience for sure.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so what was your go-to paintball headgear before Hormesis?
It was Sandana.
Okay,
Sandana and also Midwest clothing. I don't know if
okay,
you heard of them. Midwest clothing makes some pretty sweet headgear. I mean, they're like denim, really nice headgear for like 20 bucks, 25 bucks. And so I rocked their stuff for a long time. But Sandana for sure. I had some older Sandanas. Currently though, I only have one Sandana headband and one wrap
oh,
that I
okay,
decided to keep.
yeah,
Just because I just I don't know, I fell in love with the Hormesis brand.
mm-hmm,
Um, and I didn't see myself wearing much of anything else, right? I have other
yeah,
headbands that I love that I do wear, um, like King's Creations, for example.
okay.
Uh, but yeah, my go-to was Sandana until I switched over to Hormesis.
Now, did Sandana start out like you were drawn to it because you saw like it was like kind of the thing to go to, or was it just more of like you kind of stumbled upon Sandana? Like, what was your, um, I guess, exposure to that realm of headgear?
Um, it was like the go-to headgear at the time. I mean, when I bought my Sandanas, they were like 20 bucks.
Hmm.
They weren't like expensive, except for I ended up getting it back into Sandana when Sandana came back and they started releasing like the Goldman and all that other stuff, the New York
Yeah.
SS when Mark Henry brought the company back. But before that, I had cheap Sandanas. Really, only had two. I had a green flying skulls,
Okay.
um, a green brown flying skulls, and I had my it's a regular real tree. But so those are my two, and then I have like a really old wrap that I wear. That's a real tree wrap. But my brown skulls got my green browns got stolen at what was it? Cousins Paintball? Not Cousins.
Ah,
Paintball Country. Paintball Country in
that's a
Ohio.
shame.
It's my fault because I had it like I had taken it off. I put it in my I left my gear in my car because in the States, you leave your gear out, it's probably gonna get stolen. I hate to say
Yeah.
it. In
Yeah.
Germany, left my gear out, nobody touched it. In Japan, you could leave your house unlocked, keys in your car, no one's gonna steal it. You could leave your whole gear bag in there, no one's ever gonna steal it. It's just a different level of, I want to say, respect for
Yeah.
people's things. So it was crazy because I put it in my box of paint, and I have like my keys in there.
Hmm.
And then I walked away to go talk to somebody, right? Just to talk to somebody. I came back to my box to go put my headband back on because it was hot and it
Yeah.
was gone. So someone, as I turned around to talk to somebody at the next table, snatched it out of my box.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. That's
So
the
I was
worst.
like, yeah. So I was like, this. I was like, did you guys see anybody? And they're like, no. I was like, cool. Well, I guess that's gone now. So now
Yeah.
I have one, and then I sold all my other more recent sandanas that I had.
Yeah. I've had one or two Sandana wraps, but since I've had long hair, it's one of those weird things where it makes them really hard to wear. And then some of the
Yeah.
Velcro came off on some of them, and I got some holes in the top of them, and so I don't. I have one head wrap left, but the mesh went to crap, so I just have like the band itself, and I'll kind of wear that
Yeah.
sometimes, just like as my base layer, underneath my
Hmm.
Hormesis stuff. But um, yeah, I don't have much of Santana. I just couldn't afford it back in the day, unfortunately. Like when I was younger, it was you're going to compete, paint, or I think I'd gotten one like paintball fashion headband that I got at a tournament
Mm.
when they were still doing the HK Army was still doing the PB fashion stuff. And
I love their stuff when they were just a headband, bunch of guys like stamping their stuff on headbands. That was
yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Like I loved it. I love when they would stamp like PB fashion on the tail. They'd have HK Army whatever on it,
yeah.
and they're pressing down on headbands at like Huntington Beach or whatever. Like that was really cool. I must admit. But yeah, like I just luckily for me, Sandanas. So you were looking at Sandanas when they were already maybe out of business or not making as much money when they were called Scam Dana
Yeah, I think so
because the owner was kind of scamming people.
because I was playing like I started playing 3-man tournaments in the late 90s, but it was
Okay.
just like me and local friends. And I think out west, the Great Western Series was kind of starting to die down. Pan Am Series was kind of starting to die down, and they were transitioning from the 10-man to the 7-man. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, I couldn't really I didn't really, truthfully, I don't think I really got into headgear until like 2006, 2007. I had a couple
A
things
lot of
early
people that time
on.
too. They're
Yeah.
wearing hats. Like I was wearing a hat. I
Hmm.
was wearing a backwards hat a lot.
Yeah.
You know. So it's not I you didn't headgear wasn't as much as a necessity. I don't know how you feel
No.
about it now though. Like, are you able to play without a headband?
No. No, it's I gotta
I
have
can't
something
do
on.
it,
Yeah,
man.
it's gotta
I gotta
it's
have some. Like, I feel like I can't.
yeah, I'm always
you
worried I'm gonna
know?
get shot in my forehead, and have this big old like
Yeah,
goose egg, and I'm just like, nope, I gotta at
yeah,
least one. And I have I
yeah,
too I don't have like a whole lot. I try to keep my collection like practical, to where I'll wear them because unfortunately I just don't have the extra to have, a big collection, which is okay with me. I have my special ones, the ones I go after are important. Um, but yeah, it's just I don't know that I could go without one. It's like your security blanket.
yeah.
And
It's the
then
same thing. It's like if I don't have it,
yeah,
it's like I just can't do it.
and each one is a little different. Like I feel like they all have their own magic to them. So I'll pull certain ones out at certain times. Like there was one I worked the Mid Atlantic Pit for Dynasty last year, when they won, and I wore that was when the Galaxy headband was released, and I ended up getting one at the event. I wore it all in the pits, and so for me it had a little bit of magic because that was a winning headband that was
Hmm.
so it's like I'll save that one for like special occasions, just little. I mean, it
Yeah, it's
probably,
meaningful.
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So yeah, it's really cool. I ended up getting from that same event because Yosh is my favorite Dynasty player, and one of my just favorite all time pro players. But he ended up selling his headgear at the end of the season, and I've been wanting to get a tieback head wrap, and he ended up selling the one. He had one for sale, and I bought it from him, and come to find out, it was the one he wore Mid Atlantic Major all weekend that he won it. And so it was kind of cool to get,
Nice.
that piece as
Yeah.
well. So it's been cool to collect. Absolutely.
It's a lot cooler when you have a memory tied to it, or it's like you have some sort of connection to it rather than just like this one's $1,000. You know what I mean? Because like
Yeah.
for me, I'm the same way. Like, uh, we're a single income family. I got three kids,
Hmm.
right? I can't be buying $1,000 headbands. It's just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
So for me, the headbands that I have, uh, they mean something to me.
Absolutely.
So those are the ones that I keep. Those
Yeah.
are the ones that I'm gonna hold on to.
Yep. Absolutely. And it's just, I mean, I'd love to have them all. I'd absolutely
Hmm.
love to have them all, but it's just
Yeah,
like
same. It's just
on the practical side of things, it's like, okay, Ian, like realistically, what are you gonna wear? And how often are you gonna
yeah,
wear it? And it's like, all right, but there's
yeah.
sometimes I just can't resist. It's like, I'm getting it.
Hmm.
Then, but yeah, I
Yeah,
just
looks
have to,
cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
got it. um, so can you tell us a little bit about your experience being selected as a community king? I know that you were you said the second round or the
Second
second
round.
second
Yeah.
class, I guess.
Second, yeah. So 2022. Um, it was each year seemed to be a little different. I would say
Mhm.
ours is a little more consistent with the first round, except for like the total number of bands. Obviously, the first round CKs they had very limited bands. Ours were pretty limited too compared to like 2023.
Okay.
So I actually got an email. Well, let me tell you how I found out. I found
Okay.
out because I woke up one morning and they had posted them up on Instagram. That's how I found out.
Nice.
So I had no idea that it was going to happen. It's just they're like I had all this congratulations stuff, and I didn't even know what was happening. It wasn't even on my radar. It wasn't something that I was even remotely trying to do.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it would just. So I went on there. I was like, dude, that's sick. I saw the colorway. I was like, that looks super cool. Like right on. Like that's kind of so. Yeah, they don't ask you like what colors do you like or what design would you like or whatever. Or what do you want to be a king of hearts? They don't ask any of that. They basically put their creative minds to work as they should. Let the artist art, right?
Hmm.
And they create these what I consider like, beautiful pieces of artwork. I believe every headband is just this piece of art and it's so unique and different and really, really cool. So I found out via Instagram. Then I got an email from Alex saying, congratulations on your selection. Um, you you have this many headbands. We're sending one to you. And here's your code. You could do whatever you want with it. You can buy them all. You can give them to your friends, whatever, but you have to use them by this. You have to use your code by this date or it's going to go up on for sale on the site.
Wow.
So I had trying to remember 13. I think it's 13. I think Craig had 12. I had 13. So I had 13 and I was like, 13. I was like, sweet. I got 13 headbands with my name on it, but I was like, shoot, 13, that's not a lot of headbands with my name on it. And I have a lot of people I want to give the code to. Now,
Yeah.
I don't have the money to like buy them all and be like, here you
Yeah.
go, friends.
Just
So I
make
had to
it
be like,
rain.
listen, bro, like, yeah, yeah, no, I don't, I was like, as much as I'd love to buy this headband for you and say, here you go, I don't have that kind of money. So
Yeah.
I bought two for, well, the one they gave me, and then I bought another one to raffle off, which I ended up doing, which I can get into. Um, and then the other ones I gave to my friends, some in Germany, some in Japan, some in the States. I think only a couple made it to the States. And I did some trades. We did quite a bit of trading, kind of like the first gen CKs. They did trade a lot,
Hmm.
so that you give them your band, I give them, they give you
Yeah.
yours. So we did that. So I got like a Norris, which is like one of my favorites as well. Like the purple bands, I love the purple bands. I got a Yantosh, and I got a Baxter as well, which is
Nice.
which was really sweet because Craig's one of those guys, who does an incredible amount for the community. So that was really cool. But I got a few that I ended up trading, which I initially didn't want to do because I'd have to buy the band, and I didn't want to
Okay.
have to. I didn't have a lot of money, but I was like, you know what? This is a once in a lifetime opportunity for this in this particular realm. And so,
Yeah.
but that's kind of how it all went down. And then I gave my codes out, and then luckily people bought them. or for themselves, because I just
Yeah,
couldn't swing it. Um, but yeah, so I think it was 13 total.
that's cool. And it's been interesting
Hmm.
too, just talking to the kings and queens that I have so far. Everyone's experience has been a little bit different, and everyone's found out a different way, but everyone has given the same response. It wasn't something that they set out to do. It was just a very nice recognition of good people doing good things. And I think that's one of the things that's really awesome about this whole process is just, it's them taking recognition to people just being good community members, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, like, man, all I did was I make YouTube review videos, right? I've been doing it
Yep.
for like 9 years, right? So it's not, I do it because it's fun for me
Yeah.
and I enjoy it. And so when Hormesis came around, there's a ton of hype, right? And so I'm like, this will make a good video because people are interested in it, right? I'm
Hmm.
interested in it. It's really cool. I like the message. Because some companies like, um, maybe I don't do a review on it, or I'm brutally honest. Like, I'm gonna tell you if your stuff sucks. I'm going
Yeah.
to. Like, I'm just going to, and I'm sorry. That's why I'm probably never I'm never gonna have a sponsored channel, and I don't intend to,
Yeah.
right? Because I want to be able to speak my mind on whatever product is out there. So I made a video when Alex sent me this band, actually, my favorite, my most prized headband. It's a Caduceus Hermes. He
That's
sent
awesome.
it to me because it was during COVID, and he was sending bands out to healthcare members
Hmm.
or healthcare workers. And at the time, I had a fold out bed in my office because I'm a lab tech by trade.
Okay.
Um, and I was doing testing consistently all the time, and I slept in my office so I can wake up, put samples on, go back to bed. Like, that was my life. And then if it wasn't that, it was 16-hour days. I was working 120 to 140 hours every 2 weeks, closer to 140.
Wow.
So I was working a lot. Um, and then when he sent me that, I was just blown away. And it was actually the first band I actually held in my hands,
Okay.
was that Caduceus, and it was given to me uh, uh, by Alex and Ollie. So I'm not sure how many they gave out from the Caduceus line,
Hmm.
but I'm super grateful to have received one of them. So I did a review on that. I was actually TDY, which means I was like temporary duty to Travis Air Force Base, and I did it in the
Yes.
hotel room. I did it in the hotel room, man.
Good old
And
Travis.
yeah, so I did it in the hotel room. It was great. And then I just did subsequently. I was like, you know what? They started making denim headbands, and they started making was it canvas? And
Hmm.
so I was like, I'm gonna do a review on the different uh bands they have, right? And then then they came out with the Huton hat, did a review on that. Then the
Yeah.
Pharaoh, right? So I was just like, I'm just gonna do a review on products because they're making new stuff and it's cool, and I like to make reviews. And so
Yeah,
that's why I did it.
absolutely.
Like, I didn't send it to them. I wasn't like, hey, look, I did a review. I posted in the owners group uh so that people could see the reviews and make a determination if that's something that they were interested in. Because a lot of people are like, how do you wear a Huton hat? How do you wear a Pharaoh? Like, what does it look like on your head? Whatever. So I see those questions. I'm like, well, I'll make a video about it.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
there's never the intention to become a community king, because I don't know about you, but you can see when someone is fishing for that opportunity, you know, um,
Yes.
and when it's not genuine, and you can kind of tell. Uh, I will say that they're pretty darn good at selecting people that are worthy in their own way. No one's going to be the same. There's some people who do an amazing stuff, like because maybe they got money and they're able to give away a band all the time and they're
Yeah.
constantly buying and giving away and stuff, like, sweet, like, good on you, but not everyone can do that. So other people have their own little things of the way that they contribute to the community.
Hmm.
And it doesn't mean it's any less important because it's not as, I don't know, grand or whatever. But
Absolutely.
everything is like the mortar that keeps the community together and kind of builds it as well.
Yeah, and that's, I was talking to Sean about this, and I've given away two headbands in my time within Hormesis, and it was when I bought them, they weren't really intended to give away. It just kind of the person showed up, and it was almost like, oh, I was just holding this for you, like this was yours all along, and it was just like I
Hmm.
was just holding it to the right time to give it to you. And so I think that's what's kind of unique too is like I'm the same way. I don't have a whole lot to where it's like you get a band and you get a band, but
Yeah.
there are certain instances where I am drawn to, um, either hand a band out or, like we joked about it, where like the wand chooses the wizard type of thing. It's like
Yeah.
there's certain things where it's just I can't explain it. It's just like there's energy wrapped up in it, and you want to pass that along, um, and I think that's one of those special things about about the company and about the community.
No, I agree. Like that happened to me recently. One of my teammates was he's leaving, he's PCSing, or actually getting out of the Navy. Um, and I was like, man, it sucks. This is the last day. And he's putting his headband on. I'm like, bro, do you have a hormesis, man? I didn't even like mean that. I didn't ask you before, but I was like, he always wears the same like HK Army like
Mm-hmm.
headband. And he's like, no, I don't have one. I was like, why not? He's like, well, I'm never like there for like the drops and they're like hard. Cause like people who haven't tried don't realize how hard it used to be, because to
Yes.
them, it's still hard, right? It's still crazy that it sells out fast,
Yep.
right? But they weren't there like when I first started, and it was just like I
Can't
didn't
type in the
know what
code
was
fast
happening, and
enough.
it was sold out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the codes was another thing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, so he's like, oh, it's just so hard. I'm like, you know what, bro? Like, here, take. I'll meet up with you at your hotel, and I'm gonna give you this headband, bro. Because when we go play in World Cup, you'll have a. He's like, oh man, that's so cool. Thanks. It's just one of those things. It's just I was gonna sell it, but I
Yeah.
was like, whatever, dude. I'll give it to you, man. Because you don't even have one. I know you love it. And he was like super grateful,
Yeah.
so this is one of those things. I agree. It's just, you just get that feeling and you're just like, you know what, here you go, bro. So,
And it's
I understand you on that one.
yeah, and it makes me think about what my dad used to say. Like his philosophy with pocket knives is, he's like when you give someone a pocket knife, the reason why you give it to them is so every time they use it, they think about you. And I kind of feel like that's the same
Hmm.
way with the headband. Like you're giving something someone, so hopefully when they use it, they can think about you in the times, and it makes it kind of that special, special little marker, for
Yeah,
that, that relationship you have or that bond you have with that person, and it makes it really nice.
that's actually a great way of putting it. And I also think of like a karma bank. I truly
Yeah,
believe that like, whatever you put out in the world is you're going to be receiving return. And so if you're a good person, even if it's at the detriment of yourself sometimes,
yeah,
whether it be your time or your money, um, when you need something or whatever, someone's going to be there for you.
yeah,
So it's one
absolutely.
of those things. Uh, headbands isn't the sole thing that's helps out your karma, if you want to call it that, but it's just one thing that you could put out like good into the world, you know.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, that's awesome. So this one you kind of already answered a little bit, talking about other than your community band, what your favorite band is. Um,
oh, that's right.
you just talked about that one. No, you were good, but um,
Yeah.
there's a second part of that. Is there any bands that you're currently in the hunt for that are kind of on that level of, if you had, I know we talked about funds, we don't have the money to go
Yeah.
chasing the big whales, but if there was no fund cap, do you have one that would be kind of at the top of your list?
Yeah, so definitely my favorite headband that I have that I wear all the time. It's one of those like where I go play a tournament, I'm wearing the Caduceus.
Hmm.
It's like a superstition thing, whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna be
Yep.
rocking that one because I feel like it brings me good luck, whatever. Plus, it looks cool. So definitely the Caduceus is my favorite in the way that I got it. I would really love a Trident Murph. Um,
Okay.
why Trident? Because he was a Navy SEAL. It makes the most sense.
Yep.
I know he has a tomahawk and a battle axe as well, but no, a Trident Murph specifically is what I would like.
That's
Um,
awesome.
I will never ever own one though, and the reason, and a lot of people are surprised when I say this, but I will never own one because I do not buy like resale.
Oh, okay.
I never buy resale, so I never buy from. The only time I did was from Sean Chai, and it was at cost. It was at retail price,
Hmm.
right? But that's the only time I bought is I just as much as I'd like to get those headbands, and that's the thing is like I say like I really would love this one. Same with like the bully. I really would like a bully.
Yeah.
But I'll never own one just because I won't buy it. for resale.
Yeah, there was one of my grails is the golden gun. And that was one of my first, one of those early drops that I really wanted to get. And I had mentioned it through the group a couple weeks back, maybe. And someone reached out and offered one that they had just brand new in box. And I was thankful that they did, but just the price, I'm like, I can't. Like,
Yeah.
it's a lot. Like, it's almost a, new gun, like,
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, unless you're like a hardcore, because there's just collectors out there, right?
hmm
And that's totally cool. Like some of them got some money to throw around, and there are going to be those people, and that's awesome for them. Um, the thing is, like, I got into collecting JT for a while,
hmm
but I ended up like I was up to like 52 masks. I ended up I ended up selling a bunch of them. I kept my old stuff though.
Okay.
But it was one of those things of like, why am I doing this? It's in my closet. It's like, why am I collecting these things?
Yeah.
I just didn't, even though I liked them, they were cool. What I wasn't wearing them, I wasn't using them. I was just having them sit in my closet. And I was like, you know what? I don't, I just don't, I don't want to do this anymore. So I kind of apply the same thing to like the headbands. Like they have to have like a connection to me.
Yeah.
I have to have a, like, whether it be a CK headband that I know the person, that's really cool. The field owners one that was recently released. Like if I knew one of the field owners personally, I'd have
hmm
definitely snagged one.
Yeah.
So that's when I'm buying bands now, is when I have that connection. Or if they just look incredibly cool and I can't control myself and I buy it. So there's that one too, right?
Yeah.
But it's not so much about the price. It's not so much about this one's worth 2 grand because I'm not in that game. I just can't. I
Yeah.
can't be in that game, and that's okay,
hmm
because I have these other headbands that mean a lot to me personally. That's what really matters. Is not like what the headband you have maybe necessarily like means to others.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good point too, is that, it's great because every headband can have different significance. It doesn't matter how many were made, how they got them, if it were a drop, if it were resale, like it's like a snowflake, each one is
Hmm.
significant and unique to each person in its own way, and that's what really makes it special.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and so, like you said, I mean, there are those. I'm in the same boat. Like, unfortunately, I can't hunt for super rare, and so right now it's just kind of like if I need it, but most of the time, like, I don't really need it. So it's it's
Yeah,
like that inner
yeah,
turmoil.
yeah,
You're like, click it, and then the cart goes. You're like, okay, yep, I missed
yeah,
it. I didn't need that band.
yeah,
We're
exactly.
we're
That's what I
letting
told
it go.
myself too,
Yeah,
especially in the beginning. Uh, but because the beginning was really, really hard. It's like, and
yeah,
then there was that whole saying where it's like the band chooses you or whatever. Everyone was saying
yeah,
that. I was like, man, hopefully one of these bands choose me soon, because like I'm
yeah.
missing every drop.
I can't give my
Like
money
so.
away. Like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like it was rough.
Uh, what would you say is your most memorable Hormesis drop that you've landed?
Um, Most memorable Hormesis drop, I would say it was the pollinator, because that was the one I actually landed by purchasing it. I got an Emperor via like where they select your account and you get
hmm
to buy it, because there was that thing that they had going on. But I actually got a pollinator off a drop. I was actually in at Yokota in mainland Japan, coming back from a temporary duty again. Um, and I was in COVID quarantine hotel, and the lights were flickering like a horror movie, and the internet, as you could, I mean, the Air Force Inn's internet is
Yep.
just some of the worst internet you could ever imagine. And I was up. I was like, all right, I'm gonna wait for this drop. I'm gonna try and get it. And it was the first one I landed, like actually buying it, having to buy it and everything like that. So I was so proud of myself, man.
Yeah, right.
It was
There
so,
is it's a pretty
I
good
was such a
feeling.
nerd.
You're just like,
Yeah.
I got it. You just want to tell somebody like, I got it,
Yeah. And then all my friends
like
were like, bro, how did you land it in an inn in Yokota? Uh, and we all missed it. I was like, honestly, dude, I don't know,
I
man.
don't know.
Because every other drop I've missed, granted, my internet here in Okinawa is not good at all, but
Uh,
That was my most memorable drop, just because the situation I was in. I couldn't leave this place. The nightmarish like light strobe light thing going off.
Yep.
Like,
It's like a
um,
Japanese horror movie.
yeah, exactly, exactly. But it was so cool when I landed. I didn't even care. I didn't care that I was in that situation. I was stuck in that hotel room, and it was great.
Do you still have the band?
I do not.
Oh man.
I do not. I end up selling that one.
Okay.
So this guy, he and his kid, well, he had one and his kid, he wanted to get one for his kid. Sold it to him, and he pretty much that's all they wear is the pollinators.
That's cool.
So yeah, so I mean, I didn't wear that one. It was a double-sided band, and so I wasn't
Oh,
really
okay.
into the double-sided bands
Yeah.
so much. At that time, I was just trying to land every single possible drop I could.
Yeah.
I think everyone was doing it at that time, just to try and land one. But it was the nice one. It was like the orange. I forgot if it was like a hummingbird and a butterfly. I think it was that one, the orange
Nice.
one, and so it was a really cool one. So
Nice.
gave it to someone who was actually gonna not gave it, sold it to someone who
Okay.
was actually gonna use it. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What would you say is your most memorable drop that you've missed?
Oh man, the bully, chainsaw bully,
Oh,
man. I had it in. I thought for sure I had it. So I was trying since I think it was a tomahawk is when I started trying to buy them. So I knew about Hormesis after the first drop, the single arrow, and
okay.
my buddy Nate sends me a link. So he's like, dude, check out this website, like, because we were buying sandanas,
Hmm.
and he was like, check out this website. This is new headbands. Apparently, they're like really cool. And I was like, I don't know, man. Like, they don't even have any in stock. Like, how does this work? Like, I didn't know how it worked. I didn't know that they sold out. I was just like, this is weird that they don't restock their headbands or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, and then I joined the Hormesis owners group when I decided, hey, I'm gonna try snag one. So I think I was trying to battle axe. It was gone in a millisecond.
Hmm.
Then I think it was the tomahawk after that. Missed it. I was trying for the Murph for both of them.
Oh,
And then it was the chainsaw, and I was like, the bully's sweet, I'm gonna go for the bully. And then that was the one where I was the closest. I had it. I thought it was going through, and then I lost it. So
oh, I hate that.
that one because I wanted an all black headband, which is crazy because they ended up sending me an all black headband. Right? It's like
Yep.
fate. I was devastated, dude. I
Oh,
was like so upset. I was surprised I was even so upset, and this is where I think it was at that time when I posted on the owner's page. You could probably search it, but I was like, you know what? We should come out with a thing because everyone was complaining, right?
yep.
Everyone was complaining, and I was like, I wonder if they do like a drop where it's like for people that don't have one yet, specifically, so that everyone could at least have one. Because like their thing was like headbands on foreheads or whatever. Like that's what Ollie
Yeah.
was saying. He's trying to get everyone a headband, and there were just groups of guys that were just really, really good at landing it. And it's no fault to them because they were just good at landing it. And so they were scoring, right? Because they knew the process.
Yep.
Whereas my friends and I, we suck,
Dude, I
you
was in
know?
that same boat, man. It's just like, why? Yeah, and
Yeah.
you
And
get
then
so mad.
everyone's saying like bots, like, oh, these bots and stuff.
Fuck
I mean,
up, fuck. Yeah.
I didn't believe the bots thing. I just didn't feel like it was like, it's not like it's Jordan's, but who knows, right? But
Yeah.
so I was like, how about we just do that? That way, it's just one drop to where people that don't have it could get a chance to get one. It'll still be super competitive because there is still a ton of people that don't have one yet. And I got a little torn up for that by the group, right? So I got dragged a little bit, but whatever. Like it was just a suggestion, and granted, it was going to benefit me 100%, uh, because I didn't have one. So I thought maybe, you know, so it's definitely a selfish act for sure. But I just thought it'd be a good way to do a hormesis-less uh, drop because back then there were a lot of hormesis-less people.
Yeah.
Um, but that was like the biggest one that I felt physical pain when I missed it. So I was so sad, dude. But yeah,
And so did you ever end up getting one in a trade or
no,
anything? No. Oh man.
no. There was one selling shortly after the drop. For like now you would consider like a cheap price, like 300 or four. I think it was like $400
Yeah.
because now those are going for like a grand easy. You know what I mean? Like so
Damn.
you can't. Yeah, like you can't. at the time I'm like, that's too expensive, $400. There's no way I'm going to buy that. That's insane. But then
Yeah.
now those, even like those, some of the other ones were selling for about that much too. Like they weren't selling for $2,000 out the gate at that time.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? It just, they were selling for a good amount, maybe some $500-$600. But now that's like half the price of what you would probably post them for sale now. Granted, the
Yeah.
market's not great now, but yeah, I should have bought it at that time, hindsight 2020, because even used, it probably cost the same. If I were to use the crap out of it and if I decided to sell it,
Yeah.
it would still be worth probably the same amount I paid for it brand new.
You
So
know, and I feel like sometimes it's hard with those kind of things. Like there's certain things that I go after and I think, man, this stuff's really cool. And then like it doesn't sell out right away. And I'm like, you know,
yeah, yeah, exactly.
and
But
yeah, I'm
that's
like, oh,
cool,
I
man.
got it
So
quick. And it's like, oh, well, it's still there. I could buy another one, I guess, if I wanted.
exactly, right? Yeah. Yeah. Or you're like, yeah, in your head, like this one's gonna sell it right away. I better go
I
for it,
better go
And
for it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And it just
I've
doesn't
been there.
happen.
Yeah, it's a last one to sell out.
Yes. Oh man, yeah, it's no bueno. Like I think the last thing I ended up getting was blanket. One of the Hormesis. No, actually, the community line. Which one is this? This is the Uselton Brandon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I ended
Nice.
up
Man,
getting.
I love the designs this year.
Yeah,
They're so freaking cool.
yeah,
I just think that they did a amazing job on them. And the amount of people that they were able to recognize was really cool too. And I like
yeah.
that there's more available. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I think it gave everyone a chance to have one, even though people like the limited stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I agree with the limited stuff. I think there should be ultra limited drops because there's different people who have different desires in the community, right? Like,
Yeah.
try to make everyone happy, but I know
Do
it's
you
hard. It's a
do like
business.
legacy drops or something? Where you can just
Yeah,
kind of
like
bring
there's a
back the
hundred and
blood.
there's three of each one, three or four of each one, or maybe five of
Yep.
each one, and it's a bloodbath.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's kind of what some of the OG collectors and some of the OG people who've been in the group, like Pat, Logan, some of those guys, like they want the savageness of those drops and give it to them every once in a while.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But I think the thing is, they can make 100 of each one of those bands instead of five, and they're still going to sell out.
Yeah. No,
You know what I mean? It's
absolutely.
it's a
Absolutely.
business too, right? I mean, if I was a business owner, it wouldn't make financial sense to create this very unique design and only make five when you could make 100 and sell them.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
But it'd be really cool to have
Absolutely.
those legacy drops.
Absolutely.
I just don't know if we'll ever see that again.
Yeah. Just need to make him and he'll just get five and then he can burn the rest.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
because
Yeah.
Ramis is, and that'll be the post like drop coming soon, and then he can post
Yeah,
the five that
exactly.
survived or something.
And then people all the crazy like super fast fingers on the Shopify or whatever are gonna come out of the woodwork like
Yep,
ready to buy. You know what I
absolutely.
mean?
Oh man, that's awesome. So, what would you say is your favorite part about the Hormesis community? And do you have a memorable story that you'd like to share? That's an example.
Favorite part is like meeting people for sure. So just connecting with people that I would have otherwise never met. I think that's a very common theme, right? Is
Yeah.
I would have never met you had it not been for this community,
Yep.
right? And also you doing your thing and making videos. So I wouldn't have met you, for example. I went to Cup and I met all these people, and I even sat with Kevin Yantosh and stuff like and he ended up giving me a ride to my hotel like in the finals when Aldi came back at World Cup last year. And I
That's
think I
awesome.
think I sat with Ricky too. So we sat together there watching the finals together, which was really really cool in the VIP tent, which was awesome. Um, so that was enjoyable, like meeting everybody, and then you see people in real life that you haven't seen before. That's a great thing about like a place like Cup is most people are going to try and make their way to Cup, right? It's a mecca of
Yeah.
paintball. Um, that's what I love about the community. And then, I mean, for the most part, everyone in the community, um, they're good people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
There's always those outliers, right? But most people are like all about like just being a good person. And I think that to me is like the biggest takeaway for me that makes me want to be a part of it. If that were to change, that would suck, right? I
Yeah.
just love being surrounded by good people. Um,
Yeah.
and then my most memorable moment would have to be like Sean when he talked about the thing he set up in Hawaii. I got it. I'm gonna say the same story. So I flew there from Japan. I wanted to play paintball, right? I was gonna play
Mm-hmm.
paintball flying home because I'm originally from Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was gonna play paintball anyway, but he was like, "Hey, we're gonna set up something. Like, when do you come?" I was like, "Dude, I come home at that time." Like, he's like, "Cool. Like, we're gonna have people come over. And by the way, mine's gonna be there too, like with his brother-in-law." I was like, "This is super cool." And so he set up a night ball game, which was tons of fun at Extreme in Hawaii. If you're ever in Hawaii, bring your gear. That paintball field's awesome. Shout out to
Yeah.
Extreme. But man, it was a fantastic time meeting everybody, meeting Sean, meeting mine, meeting all those other guys out there. Because there's a lot of people that are in the community in Hawaii, even though it's a small community, but they've been around for a minute. But I would say that's a very memorable moment. Thanks to Sean for putting that on for the rest of us, because I was just gonna go play paintball just a regular
Yeah.
day, you know. So that was super super cool.
Yeah, I think that was probably one of the more unique stories that I've had the experience of listening to firsthand, doing this
Yeah.
project. And I think that's, what I'm excited about is just archiving the stories that are here because there's a lot of
Mm.
them, a lot of
Yeah.
stories, a lot of connection, a lot of experience. And I think that's what makes it special and it's worth sharing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Um, is there anything you'd like to see Hormesis come out with?
Anything I want to see them come out with.
Or like a collab you'd like to see them, or someone you'd like to see them work with, or you
Oh,
know,
uh, definitely. I think others have said it already, but King's Creations for sure.
okay,
Um, uh Craig is the dye master, right? He
yeah,
he does incredible work. It'd be cool to see. He's already done it an absurd amount of times within the community, but give him maybe some Hormesis bands and some dye, and he dyes them maybe. I don't know. That'd be cool. But a
yeah,
King's Creations collab, Domology, Devin Morris, obviously. I think
hmm
that's fantastic. He does superb work. I know he does like a lot of small batch stuff, but it'd be really cool to see that. There's another page called the Headwork Collective. There's a lot of different small companies on there. Uh, but I think it's definitely important that Hormesis picks and chooses specific companies for them so it matches like their mindset and the way they do things and everything like that.
yeah,
I do like what they're doing already, but I think those companies specifically would be really cool to see, just because I really like those people and I want to see them succeed and do well. Um,
yeah.
and so that'd be cool to see their headbands take off.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely awesome. All right, good sir. My last question for you tonight: is there any advice that you could pass on to listeners who are new to the Hormesis community?
Um, I would say recently with the whole crease thing, don't
Crease gate.
you can't take that. Please don't take that as the norm, because it
Yeah,
could be a turnoff for some people. People just crapping on people like all day long. It was hilarious. I get it. Like, it was funny. Like, people were making some funny memes. I agree. But if you're new to the community, just know like a vast majority of people are out there to help you or to talk or just to be kind, good people, and just enjoy it for what it is and find your happiness within it.
yeah,
Whether that be knowing when the drop hits or joining the Discord. I'm not in the Discord just because like I don't know, I'm just never in it. So, but maybe that you game a lot, and that's a place where you can have a community there because you're always there and you can talk to people. It's a great outlet.
yeah,
There's a vast amount of information out there. To so just like as far as if you're new to the community, don't hesitate to post up whatever you feel you enjoy about it. If that's a selfie, dude, take a selfie. Who cares? And you know what? People don't like it. Fine. If it's a meme every once in a while, like Jamie does,
yeah,
throw out a meme, whatever. Like just be yourself and enjoy the community for what it is. Don't take anything too seriously. Um, and don't hesitate to ask for like help if you need it. You know what I mean? Because we're all
Yeah,
we're all here for each other, and that's what it's about. It's
absolutely.
community, right? We're there for each other to take care of each other if we need it. Because there's been some negative things that's happened in our paintball community as a whole, right?
Yeah,
But that's what this is all about. It's a place for people to go to feel like they're a part of something, especially for those that maybe feel like they don't have a community of their own. You know,
absolutely.
Hormesis community can be that for them. But yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that's the questions I have for you today. I appreciate you coming on here today, good sir. I really do. I'm very, very thankful to have you here, and another great episode, man. I thank you for taking the time. Do you have anything you'd like to say before we close out?
Um, Thank you for first of all for having me on the show. I know that you could have asked anybody, like so I appreciate you reaching out to me asking if I would like to be on the show. Like I said, I saw your Sean Chai episode and I was like, this is cool, dude. Like um I got to get your information though because I want to
Yeah,
be able to push it. Just to I don't have a huge social media platform per se, but I could at least help in any way I can, right?
I
So
appreciate that, man.
let me know, man, because I love what you're doing. But yeah, thank you so much. Keep doing what you're doing. Uh, Thanks to I love what Alex and all are doing with the company. Keep doing, stay true to yourselves, whatever it might be. And just I'm stoked to be a part of this community, and it was great having this podcast. It was really enjoyable.
Thanks, man. And where can people follow you for social media
Oh,
and YouTube?
true. I got to do that shameless plug, right?
You got to do the shameless plug.
So
Absolutely.
on Instagram, it's the PBFit. And that's just one word. And then on YouTube, it's the THE space PBFit, like the peanut butter. But click on the paintball videos. So, like I said, I've been around for a while. I've been around for 9 years, and I do gameplay. Not so much right now, gameplay, just because we don't have a lot of speedballers, and so I don't want. I only put out content I would watch myself. If I wouldn't watch it, I
Gotcha.
won't post it. So,
Absolutely.
mainly reviews right now. So if you're looking for product reviews, unbiased, honest product reviews, I buy everything that I review, and I put it through the test, and I'm going to let you know if it's good or not. So the PBFit on YouTube, the PBFit on Instagram, hit me up. And if you want me, if you make things, headbands, whatever, and you want me to do a review on them, let me know. I will buy them, and then I'll do an honest review. But just know they will be honest. So.
That's awesome. And I'll leave a link in the description below too. So that way,
Sweet.
if you want to click over, give them a like, give them a follow. Got some great content, man. Absolutely awesome content. All right, man. Well, have a good one. Have a safe holiday with your family, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Thanks to you too, brother.
All right.
See you, man.
See ya.